Composers, do you ever feel like your music career is just taking forever to go anywhere? Like you're juggling endless projects, you're hustling constantly, but those big breaks never seem to come. Here's the thing, most composers go through 4 predictable stages in their career, and understanding where you are in those stages can unlock strategies that will actually help you move forward. So let's break them down. Stage 1 is the balancing act. Here you're juggling the passion for composing with the realities that come with life. You need a steady income, you're trying to pay rent, you're trying to go to school full time. And in this stage, time is gonna feel like your greatest enemy. This stage is all about building foundational habits and embracing project opportunities that will help you hone in on your skills. Here, the important thing to remember is you don't wanna feel discouraged by the lack of glamorous gigs. Every project that you do, every task that you take on, every piece of knowledge that you take in is all adding to your experience. So here's some mindset shifts that you might need to incorporate. Number 1 is to treat every project like training. Don't just mindlessly grind through those early, low-profile projects. You want to use them as intentional skill-building opportunities, right? So you might be working on a student film, you might be working on some passion projects, maybe a friend's YouTube intro, or just experimenting with some sound design. The idea is to treat every opportunity as a way to expand on your musical palette. Next is to experiment with your workflow. Even if you don't have all the fancy tools, you can take little steps to keep your work and your life organized. It's as simple as organizing all your project folders on your computer, or keeping a simple area dedicated to sketches or notes that you took from meetings. You might want to use calendars and platforms like Notion to help organize all of your daily tasks. And this is something that we'll talk about more in the next stage, but just keep these in mind because these are so crucial, especially in this first stage of your career. And lastly, in stage 1, you might want to start focusing on a portfolio starter pack. The idea is that if you are organized, you have at least maybe 3 to 5 pieces that you can be genuinely proud of. It doesn't matter what the project is, if you got paid for it or not, it's just music that you are proud to share with the world. Just make sure you add some creative titles and some track descriptions, and then you can showcase that in your demo reel. And like I just mentioned, stage 2 is all about workflow exploration. Here you might have a bigger portfolio, a little bit more experience, but you might be lacking project structure, you're overwhelmed by deadlines, and your creative energy might be sapped by all of the logistics. So this stage is all about finding systems, whether they are as simple as tech tools or your own personalized method, to help you find that balance. We're trying to create these habits that allow for long-term career stability. So maybe we have to embrace project management. What does that look like? First, just start simple. Even if you have to have a dedicated notebook physically that you use to keep track of notes for different projects, that's better than nothing at all. So try outlining specific tasks for each piece with deadlines for, your sketches, and then your orchestration and your mixing and your mastering. You could try out different free trials for maybe something like Trello. You could try out Google Drive and Docs. I personally have created a composer-specific tool called the Maestro Planner that is a project management system specifically for musicians. Whatever you end up using, you want to streamline that workflow. Next, you want to make sure you're tracking anything and everything that is a time waster. You want to be brutally honest about where your time is going. One of these days, go ahead and track every single thing that you do, from the work that you're actually getting done to when you pick up your phone and scroll through social media, check your email, when you get up for a break to get some water, make some coffee. You want to actually go and time all of these different tasks, and you're going to see where you spend much more of your time than you thought you did. Take a look at what you come up with and identify the top 3 time wasters, and then start implementing strategies to reduce them. And the last part of stage 2 is how you want to be focused on consistency. Inspiration and creativity can come and go, but it's the systems that you set in place that will actually help discipline you to get stuff done. Maybe every weekday you want to set aside 30 minutes of dedicated composing time. And this is something that you block in your calendar and you stick to it. You treat it like an appointment. This type of consistency and your practice builds momentum, and it stops those deadlines from feeling like panic all-nighters. Now, stage 3 is the network. And here, entering this stage, you feel skilled and you feel organized, but the work and the jobs feel unpredictable. Here, you're gonna need a community of creators and clients who actually recognize your value. But before we dive into networking, it's important to understand your strengths and your weaknesses as a composer. And that's the idea behind my Composer Odyssey Index, a tool that I created to help you discover your composer personality. And knowing all this can help you narrow down your networking, maybe pick projects that play to your strengths, and navigate your music career strategically. So if you want to see where you fall on the Composer Odyssey Index, I'll leave a link for it in the description down below. But for now, let's continue with the networking stage. This is all about showcasing your very best work and creating meaningful engagement with other composers and creatives. This could be through online platforms, local events, or just collaborative projects. The idea is to break out of your shell a little bit and become an active and visible member in your music community. So let's talk about how you can actually do that. Number 1 is to showcase your sound. We've talked about this a little bit in stage 1. Before, you were just sharing work that you are proud of to put out there, but now it's very, very focused. You're thinking about all of your strengths. You're thinking about the genre and the style that you can specialize in. So instead of saying, look at all of these things that I can do for your project, you're saying, look at this very specific thing that I can do incredibly well for your project. This makes it crystal clear to your potential clients what you bring to the table. And if you do feel like you are versatile and you excel in a few different areas, then try putting together different portfolios that specialize in each area. Next, try sharing your journey through content. Try thinking of something that you know now that you're really good at, that you wish you could tell your past self, and turn that into shareable content. It could be short video tutorials, or maybe a blog post about your favorite sample library or composer, or a breakdown of your favorite iconic film score. And just by creating content through video, photos, or plain old text, you are positioning yourself as a knowledgeable person in the industry, which organically builds trust. And the last part of networking is understanding that collaborations build bridges. Don't just look for people who are above you or, ways that you can benefit. By teaming up with other composers or creatives who are at a similar level as you or even below you, you can then start to experiment. You can try out new roles. You can learn together. And one of the benefits of putting yourself out there online and creating content or connecting with other composers through something like social media, you are gonna find people who you never would have met otherwise. And for me personally, I've actually connected over the past few months with Zach Heidi and PLV, and we created this music mastermind where we can talk about past projects, what we're currently working on or struggling with, and we try to push each other so that we can go forward. And I don't think I would have had those connections if it wasn't for me putting myself out there through online content. And stage number 4 is the Maestro stage. You're no longer necessarily just looking for work. A lot of the time, the projects and the work is gonna find you, but instead, you're trying to find ways to expand your impact. Now, in this stage, your projects are probably bigger. They are much more complex. You might even find yourself leading a group of composers contributing to high-profile media. And the idea and the opportunity here is to move beyond just the immediate work in front of you and go to how you are seen as a leader, how you are seen as a mentor. This is about reflecting on how you can help other musicians who might be in earlier stages in their career. Think about how you could be a leader not only on a project, but in the community. This is about how you handle projects, how much initiative you take, how you handle clashing ideas, or how you communicate with the director. You're not just a musician anymore. You are a collaborator. You are someone that people are looking to help solve a problem. The next part of this stage is about passing on the torch. And I don't mean like in a formal, I'm retiring kind of way. Like, no, you're still actively involved in your community. Instead, think about how you can offer feedback on online forums or, YouTube videos. This kind of goes back to the content creation side of things, and maybe you can create a blog post that is geared towards beginners. Or if you're focused on the community side of things, maybe you could put together a Discord group or something similar so that you can all share expertise. Again, the idea is to pass on knowledge, pass the torch, so so that you can create a stronger community. And this stage is also about your legacy. And I don't mean that in a dramatic way. It's not about you're leaving forever and what's your legacy, but think about how you want other people to view you in this space. Think about the impact that you're making. Think about the reasons why people want to work with you in the first place. And all of this coming together creates this Maestro stage. And knowing which stage you're in is only the first step. To really maximize these strategies and to sustain career growth, you're gonna have to understand your specific composer strengths. And again, that is where the Composer Odyssey Index is gonna come into play. So make sure you check out the link in the description down below. And if you did get value out of this video, make sure you like and subscribe. And as always, happy composing.